Hello and warm welcome to SAP on Azure podcast episode 179. Today is February 16 and together with Holger and Robert we are here to talk everything and anything about SAP on Microsoft. Hi and warmly welcome. And today we have an all guest, Ralf Klahr again. From the engineering team. He's actually our guy for the ANF. And we're more happy to talk about the new topic about the Azure ANF and Azure ANF immutable backup. You know, it's a very interesting security feature for the SAP customer. But before we start, Ralf, maybe just a short intro for the guests that maybe do not know you or maybe see you for the first time.
Unbelievable. Yeah, hi, my name is Ralf Klahr. I'm working with Microsoft Engineering. Yeah, mainly all around Azure NetApp Files and SAP topics like AnyDB, Oracle, DB2, and of course also HANA. So and I try to help our very large customers to run their projects successful with some very new features to optimize their landscape and also backup. Backup is a very important topic. And go on, I hope you doesn't mean old with old colleague, yeah? So I'm still pretty young.
Good old, you know, it's the best quality. It's like the wine, you know.
Yeah.
No, I hope I did it. But actually, yeah, I mean, ANF is, popular and very powerful storage solution. Big customer using, and of course, backup is no-brainer here. It's a must-have, right? And I'm really interested to hear about this immutable backup because when I first time here, okay, it sounds really attractive and giving much more security, so to say, and safety for the backup operation and restore. So maybe you tell us a little bit in general about the backup, where we are, how it is basically used, and then we can switch. What does it mean actually, the immutable backup, so to say, in the context?
Yeah, immutable backup is not per se a direct topic of ANF, but it comes, of course, along with those backup scenarios. Since those days, we have those massive attacks from data fraud protection, and to protect customers, at least the backups from the customer from the databases. We had some requests already from very large customers to protect the data backups for let's say immutability, so that you cannot change something in your backup, but also indelible. That means that you cannot delete a backup for a certain amount of time. So think about that scenario that some bad person steals the administrator account from the portal. So it could go there and delete the VM, delete the ANF volumes, delete the snapshots, of course, where a snapshot per se is also immutable, because you cannot change a snapshot as itself. Nevertheless, but you can delete it. So, and then if you delete the backup and delete everything, you could, for example, encrypt your database and everything is lost. So with those,
or maybe even
backups, just one more, then give it back to you. And with this, what we created for those large customers, we protect the backups for deletion. That means, and since they're immutable anyway, as I mentioned, you cannot change, modify, and also you cannot delete the backup for example, 30 days. That 30 days can be specified from the customer, but I think it is pretty important. And in combination with ANF backup, which is a different topic we talk here about today, this can be a pretty interesting thing for the future.
Definitely. I'm just thinking is actually immutable backup. It's not about just somebody steals your access, but actually somebody has the full admin rights and likes to click all around without thinking what he's doing.
Delete everything.
By accident, delete something, right?
No, or on purpose delete something. And when you, let's say, specify those the grace period for, let's say, 10 days, 30 days, 20 days, depends on the customer need, then you cannot delete this. Even we have owner rights and you are the chief administrator, you cannot delete this for a certain amount of time. So you can, of course, change the policy. You can say, hey, you change this back to 2 days, or to delete the policy. But then every data what gets newly written is not protected for deletion. Everything what is written already stays there for 30 days. So even if you would like to delete your storage account, you have to wait 30 days because you cannot delete the backups.
Okay.
So there's no way deleting those backups and change the content of those backups. And I think this is pretty interesting.
Absolutely. So you do have some slides, I believe, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah. Shall we do the theory first and then we look how this looks in the portal?
Yeah, would be good.
Yeah.
And some nice picture. I know you love to do to pretend to be a Picasso, so to say, and I love the paintings.
Picasso, I don't know. Picasso, I don't know. Let me share my screen, and then we go through this. Picasso, I don't know, but at least I try to make things a little bit different than normal. And at least must also be a little fun part for myself.
Yeah.
So let's start here. The presentation mode probably. I guess it's probably better, right? And I would need a laser pointer for sure. So general topic is ANF Backup, because ANF Backup at the moment is in public preview. And I think ANF Backup has some very important advantages for the backup, especially for those very large databases. Yeah, but what those advantages are, we will go through this presentation and discuss it. Yeah, a little agenda. So as I said, the backup option, backup parameter, what is important for HANA, ANF Backup, the design advantages, the SAP integration, and how you handle then the design for those immutable backups. Yeah, the backup options. How can you back up a HANA database? So you have several options. You can use the standard default NFS backup, where you export your data into NFS location. Then you can use AZ backup, of course, not for not for those very large databases usually, because that takes usually a very long time. Same with Commvault or other third-party backup solutions, like Networker and name it what's out there. And here today we talk about ANF Backup. And ANF Backup is actually working together with these AZ Snaps, our application consistent snapshot tool. Yeah, and this combination I think is of big interest for today. So what do you need to do? Need to change for your HANA instance. So make sure that your database catalog backup and log backup is pointing, for example, to a special backup volume. Yeah, that you have your continuously log backups written, in this case, to HANA backup, HANA log backup, and the catalog backup goes exactly in the same directory. This makes sure that for the roll forward, when you need to recover the database, the catalog backup is in the same place at the log backup. I had a customer who had the catalog backup in the original destination, and the original destination was in the shared area. And that customer tried to do a roll forward, and he took a snap restore for the HANA shared, but with old information. So therefore, we could not roll the database to a certain point because there were log back information from the catalog missing. And then, of course, HANA cannot roll forward to the latest moment. Therefore, the ask would be to create a backup volume and then put the log backup and data backup. Data backup here, for example, the normal NFS backup gets stored. So we do nothing but this here in the data backup, but make sure that you point this to a certain volume. Another idea is to have a shorter RPO in the for the destination volume when you work with cross-region replication, is that you set the log backup timeout from 900, which is 15 minutes, to 5 minutes. for example, here 300 seconds. Then you get a more frequent log backup, but you make sure by this that you have a more frequent copy to the destination, to the DR destination. Yeah, the ANF backup advantages. So what is so important? Why is it a good idea to leverage ANF backup? You have an inline compression. That means that you do not send massive data, let's say, over the line, but it gets already before compressed. We work with data deduplication. For example, when you back up your HANA shared, since there are a lot of binaries which can be compressed and deduplicated, so at the end of the day, you store less data on your destination, your backup destination. That makes it more efficient and also better in terms of price. Very important is that a block level copy only, so the data block level copy. That means only blocks which are not copied already are transferred to the backup. So that saves also bandwidth. That saves also space on your backup destination. And very important,
and gives you the speed. Basically, it's just a delta you are dealing with.
Just a delta. Even though, remember one of my first presentation when I explained how those snapshots are working. Every snapshot is a full view of your database. Yeah, but only the data blocks are copied into the snapshot. Yeah, so that is all about storage efficiency here for your backup as well.
Sure.
Yeah, but two very important topics as well is normally when you have a streaming backup, regardless if you use an NFS backup or a backend backup, so with Commvault or with Networker, for example, usually the client itself is backing up the data from the ANF volume, and that reduces the QoS settings. Remember, you have a certain QoS settings for your ANF volume. For example, you have a gigabyte of throughput, and when the backup is taking 800 megabyte away from this volume, you have only 200 megabytes per second left for the database.
Sure.
Yeah, and with ANF backup, that is not the case because the ANF backup is decoupled from the VM traffic. Since the backup is taken directly from the storage into the Microsoft backbone, it does not take the route from the VM to the ANF. That is, I think, one of the very important topics here, benefits of ANF.
But that would also mean that basically does not disturb at all the running productive system, right?
Exactly.
And it doesn't influence the data volume performance, meaning database performance, meaning SAP performance at all
during the backup. Exactly
during the
right.
backup.
So, exactly right. So the backup has no IO quota reduction. Yeah, and this I think is a very, very big benefit. How does ANF backup? How's the design on ANF backup? So you see here, this is your database server. You have your data volume, for example, and this is on ANF in this case. And ANF backup has an external scheduler. And when your scheduler is, for example, executing that backup, the backup is not taken here from that channel, which is your normal database channel, but ANF goes directly to the Microsoft backbone, and that the data gets then transferred to the blob space. So basically, you create between the blob space and your NetApp a snap mirror relationship, and you do the snap mirror update, and then the backup gets taken over that Microsoft backbone and not over the client line. So therefore, the statement is, I think this is a very big benefit for very large databases. During that backup time, there's no influence here from the database performance. And I think this is pretty cool.
Yeah, and all this is basically integrated in an end-to-end process, so to say.
Correct. You have nothing to do. This is all the scheduler. You do this all on the portal. You schedule this, and then the scheduler runs through the schedule. And how does it work for HANA? So the scenario is you create, as you do at the moment, normal snapshots via AZ snap. So you talk to HANA, and then you talk to ANF, and you create the snapshots. The snapshots are located in the data volume and in your per se, not the log backup volume, because the log backup volume, you don't need to take any snapshots because log backups are always offline files, and you do not need to take snapshots here because you simply can copy those files over to the blob space. And for the log backup, let's start here. I would recommend using AZ Copy or NetApp Cloud Sync. And I have an example how Cloud Sync look like. I think it's a pretty nice tool. With an additional advantage, if you use Cloud Sync in combination with Azure NetApp Files, this service is free of charge. And by this, you can basically then move the log backups every 10 minutes over to your blob space.
And retention is basically, the Azure blob. Yeah, go on.
Azure blob is zone redundant blob here in this case. Yeah, and that can be in the same, for example, location where you store your ANF backup blob. For the data, you can choose between hourly and daily. Of course, you can also choose 10 minutes, but 10 minutes doesn't really make sense. So therefore, you can choose either you have a daily transfer or an hourly transfer. And with that hourly transfer, you make sure that you back up the volume content, so and also the snapshots over to your blob space.
And Azure blob is also cheaper storage, right?
Exactly, for the backup application. Yeah. And the cool stuff about ANF backup is that since it is based on a mirror relationship, from every snapshot what you have here in your blob space, you can create a new data volume. So basically clone the snapshot to a new volume and use this volume, for example, as a recovery point for your QA system. If this is your production system, then you can use any of your snapshots here on your blob space, and you convert the snapshot to a normal regular ANF volume, and you do then the restore on your Q&A system and do the data refresh simply out of that blob space, just as an example. Super. And I think this is really a pretty cool feature. Another thing, what comes more and more is the data protection against data fraud. And this is what we discussed in the beginning, Goran. Customers are really asking for immutable and indelible blob space. That means we have our blob space, and you can set a profile that this blob space is immutable and indelible. Yeah, and if you set this blob space as indelible, for example, 30 days, then you have no chance deleting the backups in that blob space. Yeah, so for example, scenario as discussed, the administrator account gets stolen from a bad person. Yeah, and you can delete everything on that side, can delete all the snapshots, can delete all the backups taken, and then convert or encrypt the database. And usually then you have no chance then talking to the guys and probably pay a lot of money. In this scenario, with this immutable and indelible blob space, you have no chance deleting those snapshots. Yeah, as said, and snapshot as itself is always immutable. Yeah, so all those snapshots which are taken here on the primary system are immutable. So you have no chance from the operating system to change or manipulate the database backups, but you can delete them. Yeah, and yes, via the Azure Resource Manager. Yeah? If you have all the access rights, or if you have access to the portal, you absolutely can delete all the snapshots. That's clear. Those snapshots which are copied here to the immutable blob space, they are indelible for that parameter for the time you have specified for this blob space.
So and you can't delete them for whatever.
You can't delete them exactly. So you cannot change them because they're immutable. It's a backup. It's a snapshot as it is, but you can delete it. And here with this in this scenario, I said for 30 days, if your protection policy is 30 days, then you cannot delete the data backup for 30 days. And how that scenario looks, this is what I built at the moment for a very large customer. We take AZ Snap, we take the snapshots, the snapshots gets transferred over with cross-region replication over to the DR side. Yeah, and the production side is East US. The DR side is West US. So across the country, that's copied via the Microsoft backbone with cross-region replication. And then I use CloudSync in this scenario to back up the log backups every 10 minutes to the immutable blob space, and the data every hour. I also run this to back up the data and only the daily snapshots, for example. So we create hourly snapshots and daily snapshots, and to protect only the daily snapshot, I search here. I have a certain filter in the CloudSync, and here, of course, I take only the daily snapshots and protect the daily snapshots to the blob space.
Right. So I'm also thinking, is this DR aspect as well? It's also, I know it, I mean, from customers I'm working, it's important, and they are doing it, replicating that backup also in another region for their own enhanced safety, so to say. I mean,
Correct.
Theoretically, if the whole region goes down, okay, you have in another one, and plus here you're adding to immutable blob, meaning which enhanced as well additional safety for accidentally or intentionally deletion, right?
Correct. And especially with another advantage here, those data from the production system, for example, can also be taken to clone and do a system refresh from your QA system if your QA system is in the West US. But this is what customers mainly doing, and they have their production system in one region, the R system or QA system in a different region.
Okay,
that is at least how I would configure it, because then you can leverage this ANF volume to create clones and do the system refresh very easily.
And one question, those immutable blob on this picture are placed on a DR site.
Correct.
But they could be also placed on the primary East US site.
Oh, absolutely. But then, of course, you have read contention then from the data volumes. And I configured it because, let's say, most customers with the DR region will tell you they would like to have the backup also in the DR region and not in your main region. Let's say when you do the recovery on your primary region, you do this recovery always here with a snapshot. Always. So there's no reason not using snapshots, because you have your log backups available, you have your data snapshots available, and the normal recovery will never be taken from this blob space. This is only kind of a life insurance to make sure that you are protected against data fraud but a normal recovery would never ever been done with a normal immutable backup. So normally this is only for data protection and for fraud protection. Everything else will be done with the normal NetApp features here on the data volumes, cloning, creating system refresh, restores. All this is done here from the local data, from the local storage. Same here. So if you clone the QI system, remember, I use here the data volume and not those backups here from the blob space. But you could, of course. And every snapshot we have here in that blob space is, of course, recoverable. So when we look a little bit further in the future, unfortunately, the ANF team took an important feature away from me. Coming back to the ANF backup, because that scenario before was without ANF backup, we are waiting. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this here, but the future will look like this. That instead of using CloudSync for the data volume, I would here leverage ANF backup. And there's those backups get here then stored in the ANF backup vault. So I have two asks out there with the ANF team. First of all, enable this again, because at the moment you would get an error when you try to create an ANF backup from a snapshot. Because those volumes here are read-only. Remember, they are cross-region replication targets, and cross-region replication targets are always read-only. Therefore, you cannot write them, but you can read those volumes and mount those volumes for reading. Therefore, this feature will be enabled very soon, and we can leverage ANF backup here then for this purpose. But this will be, let's say, like in the near future. So we talk about maybe March, April. So therefore, I still show the slide, even though it's not available at the moment.
Excellent. This is what I love. These kind of talks, you know, with on podcast exclusivity. Yeah. So what you mentioned actually that this is a kind of still in a preview, if I'm not wrong.
Correct. Still public preview.
Public preview. Okay, that's already serious, you know. Okay. Do we have any meaning? Okay, customer could try it, could test it as well, right? Do we have any, I mean, announced timelines or not in this at the moment?
I actually will never ever say any timelines again. So I make myself, I put myself in danger if I put say any timelines. But
Sure.
it should have been released December 23.
Yeah, I mean, as long as it's a public preview, that's already meaning it's serious. It's not private, it's
serious
public.
and it's working.
Right.
So, but you also don't see any bigger major change anymore. But let me also, because I prepared the view of this immutable backup, how that looks like, maybe give you an idea how this works. Yeah, so it doesn't take very long. So let me share my screen again. Yeah, so if you never have seen it before, this is the dashboard from the CloudSync. And the CloudSync, as I said, is a tool where I read here as a data source. I read from ANF from my data volume, yeah, on my remote side, on the DR side, and I write the target is my immutable blob space. Yeah, and how that then looks, and this is a nice service. You can schedule this, and it runs automatically every 10 minutes, every hour, every day. So therefore, you can specify when it should run. And here for the data, I schedule an hourly transfer. And for the log volume, we create actually every 10 minutes a copy to the blob space, from the log backup volume to the blob space. How does it look at Azure? Let's look at the data container. Yeah, I created a data container, and in that immutable container, I have a data backup, and here in that directory, I store my backups. Now, come on. And here you see, I said I only copy the daily snapshots to my blob space. Yeah, simply to reduce the hourly snapshots, it simply gets too much. Yeah, if you have a data policy of 30 days, then you get so many snapshots here in this backup destination. And usually a customer takes one daily full backup, and this is respectively the same here for this. So if you go to the directory, you see basically here the same database structure. And as I said, you see also that snapshot data backup, that file is the indicator for the recovery process that this is a valid snapshot. Yeah, and when you need to restore this goes also with BlueXP. Here you can turn it around, that you say, hey, that snapshot should be restored to the other location, and you store it and you save it, and then immediately you see the sync from the target, and then it becomes the source, and then it goes back into the directory as a target. So there's no complicated AZ NetApp procedures, configuration. This is all done here with this BlueXP tool. And as I said, the benefit is that's free of charge when you use ANF. At least this is best to my knowledge and the status at this moment. Yeah, so therefore, don't put me on the wall if this changed. And this is at least only the 16th February 2024, the statement how that works. Yeah, at least now, as I said, yeah, this is the stand. Now, this is the tool, the Zim tool. It's fully automated. It's very easy to configure. And as I said, this is then how it would look, in your data container, as a normal backup. And it's all in the portal. It's easy to configure, and it's also documented. And very soon you will receive also a blob on this, or a little blog in our tech community around this backup. But this is what I'm still working on.
Super. This BlueXP, is that kind of cloud service, or it's a software running in a VM, or?
No, it's a cloud service, but of course you need a kind of a data broker in your subscription, and the data broker is then therefore to mount the snapshots, transfer the data over, and unmount the snapshots again. Yeah, so that is
Okay.
kind of a
Okay.
VM, a little VM, depending on the amount of data you need to transfer. Yeah, so the larger the VM is, the more capacity you have.
Mhm.
And yeah, this is how it is. Yeah, at the moment. But
Okay.
this is a cloud service, is a full cloud service integrated from NetApp, and yeah.
And so this NF backup would be now for the HANA, or is for the HANA, or it's also planned or done something for Oracle, IBM DB2?
Great question. And last time when I said something about HANA was at the slides. Everything
Mhm.
else is totally open. So you can,
Open.
of course, as you know, AZ Snap is supporting DB2 and also Oracle
Exactly.
at the moment. Yeah,
Yes.
and if with some other ways, you can also do MaxDB, and AZ is also supported from this. And HANA, of course, once you created a snapshot with AZ Snap, you have the same structure, and you can leverage also Cloud Sync or cross-region replication also for this to create exactly the same what I just explained for HANA, also for Oracle, DB2, MaxDB, RSA, name it.
Well, that's great. I mean, because they are customer also non-HANA using ENF, Oracle, and DB2. Yes, so definitely they will also have the benefit. That's a great
Yeah,
great news.
absolutely.
Yeah,
And that
yeah.
the data fraud, the data protection comes more and more into play. Yeah, we
As
are living in
well.
a
Yeah.
strange, crazy time at the moment. So and that comes more and more
Yeah.
into play. At
And
least there's
basic,
something we can
yeah,
help.
sure. And what I mean, understood, I mean, I know there are customers who have multiple databases. They have HANA and they have Oracle, as an
We can
example,
do
on
the
the
same
ENF.
backup concept. The same
So
backup concept.
same
Same
backup
backup
concept,
concept.
exactly. And that's great
Absolutely.
because it's, yeah, procedure is the same. So no
Exactly the same.
differences. Super great.
Exactly the same
Hey,
for HANA, for Oracle, for everything. What is supported under Linux and ANF.
yeah, true. So, well, I already asked how many days I need to sleep until the GA is there, right?
I
It's
have no idea. I will not say
yeah,
anything.
but anyway, public preview, this is already great stuff. A customer can already try it, right,
Yeah.
and get the experience. And this is it's a big advantage will be there, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so too. I guess so
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. So Ralf, thank you so much. Looking forward to the blog that is coming, right?
Coming.
Coming, yes, I know. So we will wait for it, and looking forward also for the next coming, on the NF topic. And I'm pretty sure there will be some more additional topic on NF and SAP, right?
Okie dokie. Then go on.
Thank you, guys. See you.
Thank you for the
Bye
attention.
bye.
Bye, guys. Bye.